So basically, you provide the model, and then you train it.
When we left Microsoft, we had been working on developer tools for a very long time. We have been working on developer tools for a very long time. And I think that both Joseph and I were tired of developer tools, right? And part of it is really that developers are really opinionated. They're people, they're relatively smart, but they're very opinionated, and then you have to work with them. And as a customer representative, it's like you have to be kind to them, especially if you work in a company that sells developer tools. So it's like, oh, never again, never again. We will never do this again. Let's just do something else. So the iPad was growing with all these creative tools. Procreate, people were drawing and doing music and doing video and animation and sculpting and all of these things. So we decided that we're going to work on the iPad. We wanted to do something for the iPad, and we looked at different things, and we thought, you know what? Let's do Godot. Godot sounds fantastic. Let's bring it over. Let's port it over. And I had some previous experience by doing Swift bindings for Godot, which were a couple of pet projects of mine. So that's how we got started. So we brought Godot to the iPad. I talked about that last year. Then during development, in Xcode, you have to flip a flag that says whether you want to keep iPhone support or not. And I forgot to turn it off. So when we did the test flight, some people were using it on the iPhone. I was like, oh, well, I got to shut that down. It's not intended to work there. It's like, well, there's a bunch of bugs here. It's like, yeah, of course, this is not for iPhone. But people were installing it on their iPhones. And I said, when is it coming? It's like, when are you going to fix these bugs? Like, well, I'm not fixing those bugs. I mean, it's a mistake. But people kept nagging, you should do it. And then we attended a talk from Chad here. He says, oh, on the train, I fixed my bugs on my phone, on my Android phone. It's like, oh, well, maybe we should just keep it enabled and just fix the most annoying issues. But my initial reaction is no, we're not going to ship it. And I politely told people, we'll keep what you learn to do at Microsoft. Like, well, we'll take your feedback seriously. We'll keep evaluating the situation, and and we'll keep you appraised. So that's what we did. But we had all these people really asking for support on test flight, and it's like, all right, we'll just fix this bug. We'll just fix this other bug. Okay, we'll fix the thing. So eventually, we ended up shipping it. After about 5 months of people asking us, and what was very surprising is that today our usage is 50-50. It's like 50% of people use the iPad and 50% use the iPhone. The big difference really is in the time they spent on each tool. On average, people use 2 sessions per day on each device, on average. People that are using the iPad spend about 40 minutes per session, while the people using the iPhone use 20 minutes per session. So anyways, that's the difference, but still, when it comes to unique users, it's 50-50%. And at the time, we kind of knew this in the back of our minds, that the mobile market was massive, and that while most of the game developers, in particular the Godot sphere, are kind of very focused on PC gaming and Steam, and more recently with W4 on console games, that the mobile space is kind of it's kind of where all the eyes are. And this is a massive market. So while a lot of people say, well, Apple is not serious about gaming, when it comes to people that are actually playing, they have a massive market share, bigger than anything else. So, but that was still culturally what happened in the Godot land. And then we started to notice from what people were doing is that they were really using a bunch of different things. They're syncing their files with iCloud, which was a whole set of different things that you have to do. Or there was like, how do I get on this machine? So we told them, go use working copy and then use this thing. And what happened is that people were using Godot to test their apps. So they were building their games in Godot, and then they were testing it on the phones. So it's like some people are using it for creation like we intended, but a lot of people were really just using it as an endpoint that they could use to try their games. So we built this is really Band-Aid. We built this little connector that lets you use Godot and connect directly to the iPhone so you could do some work. Now, the challenge with this thing is you need to understand that on the iPad and iPhone, there's a number of limitations that Apple imposes. Like, you can't compile code directly. You cannot link third-party libraries directly. They're forbidden. So this product is limited in what it can do because we have to ship the whole solution, right? So you cannot add terrain 3D afterwards or Rapier physics or whatever else add in. You cannot do that, right? This is just not allowed, and we couldn't do it. So it was an interesting band-aid that helped us understand the market. Again, we thought we were right about one particular direction, and then kind of people told us this is what you really need to do. And then Joseph went to one of these events, this Godot Fest, I think. And we're making the pitch that you really should target mobile. This is an opportunity for mobile. And then one of the guys comes in and is like, listen, this is not what the problem is we're deploying for Apple. And he told us the challenge that we have really is that we need to integrate with all these Apple APIs on the one hand to get the capabilities, and on the other hand for Apple to feature us. I didn't know this, but like Game Center, if you don't have support for Game Center, you're out of the picture. Right, so Apple will not feature you. You can still publish, but Apple will not feature you. And then you need to have things like sign in with Apple if you want to be featured, or if you want to be to Apple Arcade and things like that. So, and it turns out that the plugin ecosystem in the Godot universe was kind of in disrepair. It was. Is that the word? Is that an American word? Yeah, is it a word? Anyways, the American. Sorry, that's American enough for me. So these guys told us, there's got to be a solution for this. So, we had Swift Godot, so we said, okay, let's spike this thing. Can we get this thing going? And we built a really neat tool called Godot Apple Plugins, which is a binding to some of the most needed, not all of them, but some of the most needed APIs that people need to build full applications for Apple, right? Because from that perspective, the game engine shouldn't stop where the OS begins, right? So Godot is very much like, we're gonna give you the OS, the game capabilities, and you're kind of on your own with the rest. And Linux and Windows have much better support, like Steam APIs and things like that, because that's where the core of the market is, and Apple had kind of been neglected. So we built this thing. It's open source. I am super excited about it. One of the really neat things that Godot has is this system called GD extension, which is where you build things like Rapier and the Terra domain, all these things, all these plugins. And it's very neat because if you have a binary for a version, right, that binary works across all the Godot versions, so you don't need to recompile. And historically, a lot of the iOS plugins, you had to recompile them on your own because each one was linked to specific engine version. So Godot has two systems. I don't know if you know, but on iOS, you have GD extension, which is this resilient system, and you have an old hack that they had, but you need to recompile every time. So it was super neat because with GD extension, I ship one binary, and I'm done. The other thing that I did that GD extension doesn't really support is supporting Linux and Windows. So when you would load your module on Linux, you would get an error. It's like, well, you don't have the library, so you get errors. So we made it so that you actually get the code completion, documentation, and no errors on Linux and Windows. So super neat. Very proud of this thing, and people are using it. Now, while I was developing this, you've probably seen thousands of these pictures from any developer company like Microsoft. We use this diagram, like, it's our go-to diagram. The dev loop is like, you do testing, you do development, you do deployment, all these things. And this is the ideal thing. But what I had to do, right, I was like, every time somebody asked a feature, I'd go and do my changes, and then I go to Godot, I do the exporting thing, and then I take it to Xcode, I drag the file, I put it there, I deploy, I run, I have some issues, I go and test an iPhone, and I have to do this thing, And the reality is that the pipeline that exists today for Godot it's like this. This is more like, this is how you deploy an iOS application today from Godot, right? This is, conceptually. And actually, this is a simplification of the process. And the reality is that it is more like this, right? This thing is like, it's eternal. So like right now there's a guy that wants a feature. It's like, I've been working on this, I hadn't had the time. It's like, well, you can do it. But it's like, this thing is like, oh my God, I'm gonna have to, if you don't use I guess you can use an AI agent these days, but holy shit, this is painful. So it is around this time that we decide that, this was in October or so when this happened. And we were already thinking, maybe we should do something with the Mac. We have the Swift UI app. We probably can port it, our UI, and people like it. And So that brings me to, well, let's spike this thing and see what it looks like. And it looked like ass. It looked like this. And, people have been asking for Xogot on the Mac. And so it's like, all right, well, let's see how bad it can be. And you had no idea. Yes, it's built on Swift UI, but this looked like a blown up iPad app. And in fact, this is the oldest screenshot that I found on our Slack that wasn't deeply embarrassing. So I couldn't find the early moments of shame where it's like, oh, this is not going anywhere. The one thing that I cannot show you on this screen, so I'm going to show you a couple of things that are super wrong about this. So, like, for example, that divider, there's really it's like, what is that thing? It's indecipherable. It's ugly as hell, and there's no contrast. Then this floating toolbar in the middle of nowhere, on top of the numbers that Godot is presenting, ugly as hell as well. Then this multi-beveled system of buttons is like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 levels of bevels for that X button. Then more of this, it's a hodgepodge of controls everywhere. It looks really, really bad. What I cannot show you is just how bad it felt. It was unusable. As a Mac app, it was a disaster. And it is also very slow. I didn't know why it was so slow. I don't have time to talk about why it was so slow, but I can explain it separately. So anyways, so the reality is that just because it's written in Swift UI doesn't mean that you're going to get a great app on the Mac. You really need to follow the platform conventions, the expectations, the keyboard bindings, the shortcuts, the layouts, the flow, all these things. So we had to redo all of that, and we had to, to go through the Apple Human Interface Guidelines. We're very familiar with the ones for iOS. Apple is a whole different game. The Mac is actually very, very different. So, we're familiar with this. In iOS, you had only a handful of colors that you can use. On the Mac, you have maybe 100 different colors for when you're selected but not focused, when you're focused but you have the selection and you have something else but you're not focused, or you're focused, or some other control in the same view is focused. So anyways, there's a lot of other little details that on the iPhone you kind of gloss over. So we spent months on this thing, months and months and months looking at all these things. But eventually, 6 months later, we got featured by Apple at the WWDC Platform State of the Union as an app that came from iPad and iOS. And anyways, we're very proud of that, that we made it there. But for us, it wasn't really about the fact that Swift UI allowed us to get there, but it was more like we get to own the whole experience. And I had on the screenshot to show other things, but I removed it. But it meant that we were in control of the whole experience. And it was kind of an extension of what we had done with the iPad. On the iPad, we took Godot and we wrote a new UI, and we selectively took pieces. And it was easy because it was limited in what we would take. We didn't have to bring the whole UI. We only brought some pieces to it. And on the Mac, it was different because we had everything that we decided to ignore, we had to pull back in. So we had to do a lot more work. So I would say that the Mac has been even more intense. Bringing Xogot from the iPad to the Mac has been more intense than the port to the Mac. But the way that you think, so we kind of started to embrace this idea that we were Godot sommeliers, right? So what happens is the following. Godot is like an extensible platform. It's a little bit like Visual Studio Code or Eclipse, right? In that it has a very solid core with an extensibility system. And this is great for an open source project because a lot of things, everybody wants a feature and everybody wants a checkbox for their favorite thing. And you don't have to do those things. If you can say, well, we have a plugin, just go and do it yourself, right? So it's a way of avoiding conflict. It's a way of avoiding having to bake things into the product that you don't want to maintain or things that you can't maintain, right? So there's a bunch of things that makes a lot of sense from this perspective. But it also meant that it also means that Godot is kind of a build your own adventure thing, right? So you have to put the pieces together for the environment that you want. And coming from having spent a couple of years working on Godot for iPhone, we had become very used to Xcode working out of the box and having all the things that you can use. And there's always an escape hatch. You can always escape hatch and do things in the command line, but we wanted to have the same kind of experience. Everything works out of the box. So we kind of started thinking about, it's about having batteries included in the product, right? So we want Xogot on the Mac to be a batteries included product. And it's not really about including the batteries. It's about, when you buy a gadget in the store and it comes with batteries included, you turn it on and it works, right? It's not, the other option is, well, now I gotta do a trip to CVS, get some batteries, and I can enjoy my product. So we kind of wanted that experience. And the other thing, really, when it comes to assembling your own adventure, right, that you have with Visual Studio Code or Eclipse or Godot, is that before you can start doing your game, now you got to make a lot of decisions. Which asset manager you want, how you want to, which terrain system you want, which physics engine you want. So we're very much into we very much embrace the idea to do, progressive disclosure, right? So we'll get you started right away, and if you want to tweak things, we'll help you tweak things. But it's something that you can do on your own at your own pace. So anyways, owning that experience, we implemented a ton of things. We did a lot of things to Godot on Mac. It's massive. We don't have time to talk about all of those things, so I'm going to just touch on a handful of these ones, the ones in bold, and the places that we're super, super proud of. Now, here I'm going to need some help from Joseph because this is not my Mac, and Joseph is letting me use his Mac, but the first thing, the one thing that it was kind of the linchpin of the whole effort is, can we make this experience of running a game, deploying, and getting everything done easily? So we'll show you that. But one of the things that you have to realize if you're an iOS developer, if you've ever tried to do iOS, is that the process involves provisioning your device, right? So making sure that your device is authorized with Apple to be a developer machine. You're going to get entitlements. So every time you add a capability that Apple gates, you need to get a new entitlement and you need to reprovision your device, right? It's a pain in the ass. I never liked it. I spent decades on, well, a decade? When did we start doing this? Yeah, a decade ago, we started dealing with Apple and this system, and we hated it every step of the way. But because I don't know if you know this, but 10 years ago when Apple launched this, you had to do all these steps by hand. There was no automatic provisioning. You had to manually go to the portal. The what? Oh, yes. So anyways, we take care of everything for you. And as this is a go live, this is a pretty much recent beta. And I'll show you a couple of elements. First of all, it's very Xcode inspired. We have organized a lot of these things on the top, which are Xcode calls organizers. And we try to blend what Godot developers expect with the things that we thought we needed to have from Xcode. So we like this navigation system. We use the same shortcuts that Xcode does. This one, we had to stick with that, which is the scene and file tree, because people expect them there. Then we have Git integration. We'll talk about that later. Then we have AA assistance, and this is a bug in this beta. Ignore that. File search issues. Whenever you have a bug, it shows up here. Then this is debugging. It only appears when you're debugging, breakpoints, and finally logs. So you keep a log of all the builds, results, outputs of every previous run, so you can figure out what happened. It's just things that, after using Xcode for a while, we really enjoyed having. Okay.
Yeah. Keep talking.
Okay. Now, the other thing that we took from Xcode, which is that we think is really nice, is this split pill on top. The first one lets you choose the active scene. Why can I not? Oh, there it is. So the first one, it lets you choose the active scene. So we change a little bit the way that you choose the scene to run and you run the scene. The scene that is there is always the one that you're gonna run, and we show all the other scenes that you can pick. So we have at the core of this thing scene picker, and then the other one is the target picker. And you have a couple of targets. Local editor is equivalent of Godot when it launches its window, either embedded or on a separate window. And then it shows existing devices that we scanned that the operating system knows about, so devices that Joseph has paired on his system. So things that are connectable via USB, like Vision Pro. And we also have simulators. So one thing that we did is, you know, if you look in the internet, you'll find the right patches to get the Godot to run on iOS simulator. Those patches have not been merged. We don't understand why, but so we decided to do that work. So kind of our work as sommeliers is we go, we hunt those patches, we put it in. So we ship a runtime that actually works, and you can debug and do all these things on simulators. We brought the Apple Vision patches that are still, you know, the Godot Foundation is still going through. We take them, we integrate them, we fix them, and we bring a bunch of Apple fixes in there as well, so that it's kind of like, you know, it all works out of the box, and you know, and we have things for provisioning your thing. So you declare your Apple account, you get your key, and then we can handle everything for you. So then, so now the idea is that you build your game, you do your thing, and then you hit play. Is this on the target here is 1X? I guess it's his Joseph's device, and then you run the game. We compile, we deploy, exported project. You get here some you know, information of what's going on. Here's the deploy. Oh, you saw it live. You saw it live. Console output.
You want to debug?
Oh, what do I need to do?
Oh, you'll hit it. Were you clicking around?
Yes, I am.
Breakpoint. Go to script.
Oh, sorry. Okay. Sorry. And then?
It's open. It's the other tab. It's the coin tab. I picked up a coin.
Okay.
Go to the coin.
Oh, sorry.
I don't know what
Okay.
you were doing.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, okay.
There's a bug. It's a bug. We'll fix it.
Is it a bug or was it not?
It's a bug. I really should switch to the tab. If there's another tab, I should switch to that. Anyways, yeah. So that's our debugger. Okay, what did you do?
I didn't do anything, dude.
All right. So let me continue with my presentation. Is there anything else that we want to show about Xogot?
No, I think you're good for that.
Yeah. Okay. So slideshow. Play from current slide. Okay.
Yeah.
So anyways, that was kind of the linchpin of the thing. Can we solve this massive pain point? And it's kind of grown to do other pain points that we had. Okay. The other thing that I want to sort of point out is like sort of our philosophy is like you know, this is a disagreement that I have with a lot of engineers. A lot of engineers like to make things that work in the way that it's supposed to. Like, right? My first interaction was with Federico Mena, my co-founder of GNOME, that he was very opinionated and everything had to be right. And he has very strong opinions about what is right and wrong. And you know, right is that the model fits exactly what the box is. And Godot, for example, and sometimes is that, and sometimes, what are you doing?
Keep talking.
And sometimes is that, and sometimes is easy of, you know, is the path of least resistance. But the path of least resistance or being absolutely right about a particular, you know, developer model is that it doesn't necessarily, it's not necessarily what the user expects, right? So in Godot, you have this output tab where you get the output, and you have this debug tab where you have variables. And I've always struggled, when we put it initially to the iPad, I struggled because it was very ugly. It looked very ugly to me, and I couldn't put my finger on what was ugly about it. It's like, yes, I get the big window, and then I get the big debug. It's like, there was something missing. I didn't know what to do, and I know that I like Xcode. And I don't know if other IDs are better, but it's like, oh, I don't like this. I really don't like this. So anyways, one of the things that we did, which is extra work, but is the idea that we wanted to have the same model that Xcode does, which is it blends both the output and the debug windows. And we have these little two controls here that control whether you show the right side and the left side. But essentially the default is, by default, when you hit a breakpoint, you get your variables, and you also get a little command line. And what we do here is it's a little bit like LLDB. So you can go and type a subset of LLDB commands. So you can print expressions. So rather than having a dedicated like eval REPL thing, was like, well, we really like the way Xcode does it, so we put it there. So you type P and an expression, and it will evaluate it. And you get blended here, the output, right? So output warns and everything, plus your command line, plus your evaluator, right? So it's kind of the thing that is driving us. The other thing that we did, let me talk about the next one, is browsing assets. And this actually came out of the iPad, because on the iPad, I don't know if you saw it on the previous screenshot, or I don't even know how it, but the way that people manage their assets or work with their assets in Godot is they typically have this little file pad, and they go and find the file, or they extend it, or they dock it somewhere else, and then they drag files there. which works. But on the iPad, this is tiny. You get like, realistically with the font size and everything, you get like 8 rows of text, right? So if you're disclosing triangles, it's very, very hard. And it's not like you get a lot of space at the bottom either. You don't really have a lot of space unless you move your device and then you get more space. So we ended up designing this thing. We stole, we drew inspiration from what Unreal is doing, from what Unity is doing, from what other people are doing, Blender and so on. So we built this asset browser, and certainly Godot has a bunch of them. There's a bunch of plugins and extensions that you can use. But kind of like, well, we need to own the experience, and we think that we can do better. We can do things like automatic tagging, so you don't have to tag your assets. So you open a project, we automatically tag, and you can immediately find, different things. And we'll use your file name and your directory and components of your file name to essentially auto tag, so you can quickly find your stuff, and you don't have to do work, because that's the other thing. Every tagging system I've used in my life. It's great if you tag, if you're, what is it, anal retentive? Yes, anal retentive. But I'm not, so all these tagging systems in practice in my life, I never use because I'm not gonna tag shit. So anyways, this works great, and I think our users agree. So we did this thing, it's built in, love it. And it really is based on the idea that we didn't have the space on the iPad, and it happens to work great on the Mac. Then for asset placement, it turns out that yes, you can drag. So again, the users go, well, this is neat, but still the placement is kind of primitive. So we also looked at what was available, and we found this plugin called the Ultimate Asset Placer. There's Asset Placer, Ultimate Asset Placer. There's a bunch more. But we talked to the guy from Ultimate Asset Placer, and we licensed his technology, which was all written in GDScript, and we put it all over to SwiftUI so we could integrate it differently. And the idea is that you can have these assets and you can use it to either paint or remove, and you have different ways of painting. You can paint in a grid, freeform, like Godot does, or you can paint in a surface, so you can have trees go up and down. And can paint them on a spline. So it's integrated also with our asset browser, right? So the asset browser, you can switch between browsing and placing and what you want to do, and a bunch of tools and different things. Like you want to scatter, you want to do like some terrain, some foliage, some trees. And again, we were not experts on this thing, so we thought that the best thing to do was just license something that an expert in the industry was used. The other thing that we're really proud of is the Git integration. Again, we've gotten very used to working with Xcode, and we love the way that Xcode works. So we brought the whole UI from Git directly into this thing. It's the thing that I showed you before, but essentially, we can manage your changes, or you can manage multiple repositories, origins, and so on. What you come to expect from an integrated Git client. And it's a little bit odd because in Godot, I don't know if you've done this, but in Godot, Git is a plugin that you install. So it comes with your project. It's a very peculiar choice. But anyways, it's built into this thing. And also, we added Git LFS. So game developers are not exactly like Xcode developers, so they like to use this system for storing their big assets on separately outside of their Git history. So we added LFS support, so you could, download your files, log files, take ownership, not contribute to others, negotiate with your partners, and so on. And I think it was really well. Also all batteries included. Now, going back to my previous life as a .NET fanboy, I was telling this story yesterday, but initially when we did this native version of Xogot for the Mac, we licensed also a very neat native text editor from Marcin. And I cannot pronounce his last name, he's Polish, I'm sorry. But we couldn't really, Marcin was too busy and we couldn't really do the integration. We needed an expert in the code and he wasn't available at the time. So it was like, let's try Monaco. So we took Microsoft's Monaco, the thing that powers Visual Studio Code, and we slapped it in there. And initially it was ugly because everything that you do with the web is ugly. Well, not everything, but it looked very ugly. It's like it looked out of place. So we spent a lot of time polishing it. I think there's still a lot of room to grow. But one thing that was incredible is that Monaco comes with a built-in LSP server or an LSP client. I don't know. You get one. You get LSP, which is the language server protocol. And what was super neat about this is that Godot has an LSP provider, right? So everything about your GD scripts and about what you can do with GD script, Godot is surfacing constantly to the editor. So we got out of the box code completion. We got references. We got refactoring. We got inline documentation. We got parameter documentation. I mean, this thing was incredible. I was amazed. And that was just with GDScript. I mean, with GDScript, we got all of this stuff. And then for .NET, it was obvious, like, well, we have LSP already, and I'm going to run OmniSharp, so why not hook it up? So I hooked it up, and it's amazing. You get like references. I mean, it's insane. You basically get Visual Studio Code. It's insane. It's like I did not do anything. I just hooked that up. It was incredible. And we're very happy with it. And then we got the, we got the Samsung debugger. We found that, long story, there's a little bit of a kerfuffle between Julia and the rest of the world. And, she's trying to impose her will. And the bottom line is that .NET has no open source debugger. But Samsung is like, well, we're going to publish one. So we bundled the Samsung debugger with our .NET thing. So essentially, you can debug straight from Xogot your .NET code. And we have a demo, Joseph.
Sure.
So I control click which one?
Yeah, control click.
Yeah, control click. So we have a different icon for this one.
No, but you got to get out of PowerPoint.
Oh, okay. Allow. I'm sorry. So one thing that you need to know is that this is the live build. Is this the live build? Oh, okay. That is Xcode. Okay, so yeah, open it. Okay, so
Run it?
yeah, run it. But this is deploying to device, so yeah.
No. I made a mistake.
There's a big mistake here. All right. Yeah, control click that thing again. So the bug that you just experienced that we just glossed over is that Godot does synchronous builds for .NET code. So whenever you hit a .NET thing, it's like, now you're going to wait. You're going to be patient because we're going to build it, and there's nothing you can do about it. So in the last couple of days, I've redone that thing so that it's asynchronous. So we can build separately, and then we can, and so you can always press that stop button. So anyways, okay, let's try it. So these are, oh, but we really should show the code completion. Anyways, that doesn't matter. Okay, okay. So this is a .NET program.
This is a nice .NET sample out there.
Okay. Oh, there we go. So you get, you get this. It's all LSP based. We get the code completion. We got the highlighting. Now type something like sprite container dot or something. Sprite. Yes. Select sprite container. Sprite. Then select it. You can return dot. Oh, look at that. Look at that. Look at that beautiful thing. Built into Xogot. Anyways, then it went to Xogot. I don't want to brag, but I went to Xogot. Godot doesn't have it. I thought that they had it. Anyways, but that is just because I am a junkie of .NET. So anyways, that is .NET. Now, as you know, I am I'm like the, oh, I'm not gonna make that joke. No. No. I have two loves in this life. Well, three, but, well, four. Anyways, one of my many loves in this life is, .NET, but I've been away from the .NET world for assorted things, and I've been in this Swift vibe for a while now. So we also added Swift support. This is not demoable yet, but we added Swift support, which is, the whole Xogot is built in Swift. So I added Swift support, and again, debugger integrated with LDB. Code completion, the same thing, right? That you're getting out of this. So you're getting references, you're getting everything that LSP can do for you. Refactoring from Swift, right there. Now, HP tells me you should only use GDScript. I respect his opinion. That is fine. But some of us have more. We have acquired tastes. So anyway, so this is our Swift support. Oh wait, is this a screen? No, this is a screenshot of C#. Sorry, this is a screenshot of Swift. This is a screenshot of Swift. Anyways, it's there. Sorry, I was showing the wrong thing. Now, everybody loves agentic coding. I know, don't lie to me. I know you're using it. And we offer two options, right? We offer, course one is we integrate with your Codex, Cloud, PyDev, OpenCode, whatever it is that you have on your machine, right? And the way that we do it, also, we have very strong opinions on this matter. We do not use MCP. We think that MCP is garbage. MCP is garbage. So what we do instead is we use this new trend, which is you ship a command line tool that integrates with your product. So there's Xogot is fully scriptable. There's a command called XO, and you can essentially drive all of the Xogot experience, build, debug, breakpoints, everything from the command line. And what we do is we install a skill, which is just a text file that your agent can read. So instead of using this bloated garbage MCP, we have this tool, and agents already know, because they've been trained in some of this, they know how to query for additional information if they need to, right? So essentially, if you need to know more, call the tool with --help. That's the new thing. So you avoid MCP entirely. So we have that option, and I think it works better than everything out there. And it's equivalent to what Unity is going. In fact, I think I saw Unity's announcement basically today, and they do the same thing. It's like avoid MCP. MCP is bloated. The course too is our built-in agent. So we built. We also took Pi.net, which is a very popular, very lean agent, and we ported it to Swift. And why we ported it to Swift? Because we needed to run it on the iPhone and iPad too. So our agent also works on iPhone and iPad. And here's the thing. This is a neat thing, right? The reason why the command line works better than MCP is because all of these agents have been trained on a lot of bash commands. And this is how you do things in bash. So they're good at bash. They're really good at bash. Now, on the iPhone and the Mac, on the iPad, you don't really have bash access. You cannot run bash. You cannot run arbitrary commands, and there's nothing in there. So what we did is we ported a thing called just bash, which is that emulated Unix bash lookalike system. And we put it in there too. Oh, look at that. It's beautiful. And so the thing is that we have this fake Unix system running there, which is called just bash. It's called virtual bash. Well, we called it virtual bash because just bash is a lame name. But we have it running powered by P, and it works on both Mac and mobile. So if you don't want to use the other agents, we also have a built-in agent that you can use. And it works wonder. I know that this is it's a touchable top. It's a thing that people don't like. But this port from JavaScript to Swift, an agent did it. I don't even know what the code says. No. I'm kidding. I did review it. All of this is. I mean, I lean heavy on this thing. Like virtual bash is like, oh, there's no way I'm porting this thing. The agent did it. Passed the test. The whole thing. It's incredible. The note of disapproval from the audience, but it is very good. So this is Joseph doing some changes into the game. Do we have a video of this? Anyways, this is a neat one where you can go and says, hey, add some coins to this game. This is a demo sample from Godot. It's like, hey, go and add some coins to the game and make it collective. It goes and does that. This is Cloud Code working with our XO tool directly. So just sit back and relax. Or you can use the UI version, Codex, if you want to use the cute UI version that does that. I guess you added also coins to this game, so you got to go collect those coins in that existing game. And we have, what is this? This is a new screenshot. I didn't see this one before. Oh.
That's the pie. I didn't let it finish.
Okay, so we did this screenshot 3 minutes before we came into this room, but because we didn't have the iPad version screenshot ready, but it's the same game running with our agent over there, and you can see the pie is a lot more verbose about what it shows you, and this is it. If you want to check out our beta, we're available on the website, and I think that there's a link here, right?
You got to get out of the PowerPoint.
Oh, okay.
Click it. Click anywhere. No, well, it had to be right. I got you. You just talk.
Okay.
Maybe people want to ask questions or something.
Well, thank you so much for coming to this. No, this is not going to run.
What are you talking about, dude? Okay. Well, just talk. It's
All
fun.
right,
This is
it's
fun.
okay. So that's what we're up to, and we hope to release the beta, to release the Go for the Mac later this year. So we're still going through the process of fixing bugs and addressing issues, but I'm very excited about the product. Thank you. Yeah, I use Fastlane. Well, we use, no. I used to use Fastlane.
What's built into Xogot to help with that?
So we manage the entire thing now. That said, when you're doing mass deployments and you have a team, you're probably gonna do Fastlane on your own. Now, I say you're probably because I used to use Fastlane and also switch away from Fastlane. And the reason is very simple. I just use Xcode Cloud these days, which handles it's a little bit less painful than Fastlane. The only reason why it's less painful is as a developer, you upload your thing and it already knows everything about it, so it will take that for you. With Fastlane, you still have to get a couple of certificates, you still gotta get a couple of secrets in your CI. So if you're doing your own CI, yes, you're gonna have to do those steps as well. We can do those for you, but if you're doing something different in your CI because you don't want to share your keys or it's a team key, then you still have to do Fastlane your own way. But at least in the developer loop, which is called the development profile in Xcode, we'll do it for you. Or if you're doing Xcode Cloud and you're putting your Xogot in Xcode Cloud, then you don't have to do anything. Apple takes care of it. So yeah, I switch away from Fastlane to Xcode Cloud just because I'm lazy. And I'm paying for that stupid Xcode Cloud because, like, God knows. It's like, is it worth $100 having to deal with this? Like, yes. If I don't have to ever look at another provisioning profile bug in CI, I'll take it. Yes. But try the beta and tell me what you think. And we were gonna show the vision, but you can, you can harass us at the booth and we'll show you the vision working too. Yes, HP.
One of the big things for Godot desktop users is with more complex projects, people will write like tool scripts and like little UIs that like make the Godot editor more suitable for the game that they're building.
Yes.
With Xogot, you've like re-implemented everything, right? So can you still do it? Can you still make a tool script and extend the UX?
That's a great question. So yes, you can write those tools. The thing that we support is as long as you use the Godot APIs for registering things, like for example, I think it's called Add Toolbar. There's like I forget the name, but as long as you use the APIs that says, hey, I want you to add a thing to the left or to the right or to the bottom or a hover on or the little toolbar that goes on the top, we will host it. Now, we're gonna take some liberties. We're gonna move anything that you claim goes on the left side, we're gonna ignore it and we're gonna put it on the right side. So everything shows up, every plugin that you want on the left or the right is gonna go on the right. We're always gonna put it there. We just don't have space on the left. The other thing that we do is anything that goes on the bottom shows up. So any plugin, I didn't show you any of those because we've rewritten most of them. Almost every plugin in Godot we've rewritten that people are running into, we've rewritten it, but if you have them, they will still show up. So anything that you have still shows up. And we can probably change the define to re-enable some of those. And the little guys that go on top, like the writer plugin that says open in writer, that one we host as a hover in the editor. So we actually make it a floating little button because we didn't really have a place to put it. So as long as you use that API, it works. Things that will break. If you go and take the editor node and start navigating the hierarchy and start poking at elements and trying to attach to elements. The big offender is things like GDQuest, right? So GDQuest that does all this stuff like, hey, point here is like, those things don't exist anymore. I was like, oh, go click this button on the file. Like, that button does not physically exist. So those kind of things will not work. Yeah. Yes?
Thanks so much for the talk. I was wondering, are you hoping, suppose that I just use Godot on Mac, but
Yes.
I'm not necessarily trying to build for iOS.
Yes.
Are you trying to get those people to use this tool as well?
Yes. So I didn't mention that, but that cycle with the iOS and Mac thing, it's actually, I don't know if you've done it, but if you try to use Game Center or signing with Apple or anything else on the Mac, it's a pain in the ass with Godot. Let me tell you what it looks like today. You take Godot. The first thing that you have to do is you cannot put entitlements on that thing because it's code sign, right? So for Godot to be distributed and run on your machine, Godot has to code sign. Now, you cannot put entitlements there, so you cannot physically test any of the Apple APIs on your Mac today. So what you have to do is you have to go get an entitlement, and then you have to re-sign Godot with those entitlements. So every person that has ever had to do this has to download Godot and modify their own Godot and put those entitlements there. So yes, it was definitely a use case scenario, and it was my use case scenario. It was like I was doing this thing. I was like, good Lord, why am I doing this to myself?
But I mean, I think broader than just building and having the, like taking care of Apple specific stuff. Yeah, we're like at every part of the process, we are trying to think about like how we can make it better. It's fully Godot compatible. So like when you see the C# thing, like we think that's a compelling reason to use the Go, even if you're just, even if you're just on a team that's using C# and everybody else is on Windows, if you're the Mac person, you can have a nice, better interdev loop with C#. So we're just kind of like targeting all those things. The Git integration up front. Yeah. I mean, I think it's definitely more than just the mobile.
And we are very clear that we do not want to break API with Godot, right? Except when we change the editor to not be there. But essentially, we think that, and in fact, we think that Godot should be even more strict about when they break API and how they break APIs. But essentially, the idea is that you can switch back and forth between Xogot and Godot. You shouldn't have to experience any pain. The only pain that you're going to have is you have to do the circuits that today you're forced to do. So we're taking some of that pain away. But other than that, the project is the same. You can use the Mac, and tomorrow you can decide to go back to the superior GNOME desktop platform. Then you can do that. And then if you change your mind because audio still doesn't work, then you come back to the Mac. So.
So we've talked about this before, and so one of the I have never done it before. With Xcode, there's like that and I forget that's just for like publishing to the app store or something like that. Or do you need a developer license to use Go correctly to like test it?
I think that you can get an account these days. I mean, I pay for the $100, but I think that there's an account that lets you test without publishing. So I think that you can get like a free account, but you don't get access to the test like Xcode Cloud or devices. But I think that you can deploy. I haven't tried it, but I think that there's also an option to deploy to your device.
Have like a 1-week provisioning profile. You could like deploy it after your phone. Yeah, but if you want to do just simulate.
Yeah, and we'll renew the certificates. We'll take care of renewing because we have to renew them anyway. So we take care of renewing certificates and provisionings and entitlements and so on, which is a pain in the butt. But we figured that is the value of Xogot. Oh, we missed that slide. I was doing some editing of the slides. We put that slide before. Oh, Jesus Christ. Yes. The what? Well, no, we're adding, so I have to say, one of the things that, I don't like the export system in Godot, the export template system. I think it's very complicated. I think it's very confusing. So one of the things that is missing today in Xogot is the export template system. And the reason it's missing is because I don't like it. So we've been going over and over and over what the design should be. And I think that we're finally crystallizing on an experience I like, right? So I'm not going to ship that until I like it. So I think I have it. I think it's good. And the problem is not just that export template is not the problem. The problem is that you need to have debug and release templates, right? So how do you express that with the current system? And the current system is a little bit of a hodgepodge of things. So I think I have a design that works. I'm going to implement it. Maybe I'll start on that in a week or two. No, more like 3 weeks. And once we have that, then we can do Android. So Android is coming, Itch is coming, Steam is coming. So we're going to add all those things that we think are really nice things. And I think that my new exporter design solves a lot of these problems cleanly. And I'm trying really to approach it from the perspective of what would be the experience that would get out of your way? What is the thing that you need to learn the least and just get it working? So, so it's coming along.
Yeah, and just one thing about itch, like the plan is to make the itch experience a lot smoother because it can't be. But we actually have web export now, pretty
Yes.
pretty big. Like you can. So if you want to share something on the web, from Go on the Mac or from iPad or iPhone, like it's super easy to just get it on the web. But we can make the itch
Yeah,
experience
but
better.
essentially we're doing the thing where we dump you a file that you can use. And what we want is, just like we did with Apple, is like you add your itch account and you just say play and it will share it, or you can play share and you don't have to deal with any of that, right? So we're gonna keep doing that thing, but it's all held up on my export redesign. I think I have a good design. I think I solved it. I cracked the nut. Now I need time to implement it. Oh, sorry, we're done. Okay.
No, I just want to make sure people have time to
Thank you. Thank you, folks.